Hey y'all, it's your girl Tess by Tari, and I am back with another story time. This story is kind of long, so it might have to be 2 or 3 parts, so please just bear with me. Also, this story is pretty recent, so I'm still pretty triggered by it. So if I get riled up while I'm telling y'all the story, just let me be riled up. It's not about y'all, it's about the situation and the principle. Alright, so boom, I got my hair done in December. If y'all scroll down to my page, y'all will see the wig install where I had the skunk stripe in my hair. Bomb ass install, bomb ass wig, had no issue. So come January, I got a touch up either right after or right before New Year's. I'm not sure, but I went to my hairstylist and got a touch up, basically where she just lifted my lace, cleaned it off, and relaid it. Now, after the first 2 or 3 installs, I'll go and install my hair myself because I don't have a problem installing my hair. I just hate customizing wigs. So I had a photo shoot, so I went to go take my wig off so that I could redo my hair for my photo shoot. But to my surprise, y'all, there were holes. Like, it looked like a rodent was chewing on my lace in my sleeve. There were holes all throughout the edges of my lace. Like, I was so baffled because how? There's no way I could have put that amount of holes in my edges while it was installed on my head, y'all. So my first instinct was to reach out to her and just, 1, let her know that there's holes all throughout my lace, and 2, ask her when did they get there, and 3, how, and 4, why didn't she tell me? Like, who, what, when, where, why? I just want to know what happened. Oh my God, what happened to Virgie? What happened? So she like, oh my God, I did not know. I did not see no holes. I don't remember it ripping, but I can fix it. I can either ventilate it, put the lace back in, put the hair back in, where the holes are, or I can replace the frontal. Now, in my mind, I'm like, I just spent $430 on this wig, and that was with a discount. I don't really feel like I want to let her play Bob the Builder on no brand new ass wig that I only got 1 install and 1 touch up with. Like, really, that's not really how we about to do this. So she don't mind replacing her frontal, whatever, and she was gonna, contact her vendor and all that, this, that. That was the first red flag for me, because if I got the wig from the girl who had hair on hand, then you should have got a frontal from her on hand. But I let her have it. Be back for part 2. Hey y'all, I'm back with part 2 to my story time. Okay, so before we get into the makeup, look at the lace, y'all. Like, I took my wig off and this is what I saw. Like, huh? How? Alright, so cool. She giving me the runaround like, okay, I'm gonna contact my vendor, and at first she was waiting on her vendor to get the hair. Then it was Chinese New Year, so she couldn't order it. So Chinese New Year comes and goes, and I have a vendor for my lashes, so I'm like, I just ordered a pair of lashes, so when is this girl gonna tell me to drop my wig off? So I reach out to her, and finally on March 9th, I dropped the hair off, whatever the case. March 23rd, she messaged me and she's like, hey, your wig is going to be ready next week. I went to Florida on the 30th, came back on the 5th of April, and hadn't heard anything from her. Next week has came and gone. So I reached out to her, not the day, I got back on Monday, so I reached out to her Wednesday of that week, and I'm like, hey, is my wig ready? No response. Reach out to her Thursday, and I'm like, I'm not understanding why I have to keep reaching out to you if you told me the wig was going to be ready next week. I want to put the messages, but she blocked me, so I can't find her thread. So come Friday, I have no response since I contacted her Wednesday. So when Saturday comes, I'm aggravated as hell. I'm like, I'm about to go message her again and see if she read my messages. To my surprise, y'all, I'm blocked on all her pages, like her personal page, her braiding page, and her hair install page, wig install page, whatever you want to call it. So I messaged her from my pole dancing page, and I'm like, I'm not understanding why you thought blocking me was going to make me skip over the fact that you're trying to steal my hair. And I have those messages, so I can actually post them on the part 3 because this video is about to end. But by this time, I'm done being professional. I'm done being nice. It's April. She had more than enough time. Come back for part 3, y'all. Okay, pause to read these messages. This is part 3 to the story time. So like I said, I had to message the hairstylist from my poll page because I was blocked on my other 2 pages. She hadn't responded, but at this point, I wasn't really reaching out to her to respond. I had it already made up in my head that I was going to go get my wig. So Sunday morning comes, and I'm like, damn, should I go before or after my 12 o'clock appointment? I'm like, I'm going to go before. It's Palm Sunday. You feel me? I'm going to go while I know motherfuckers is going to be there. So as I'm putting my hoodie on, I'm guessing, you feel me, my energy is strong. Shorty DMs me back with that whole long message, and she's out of town and all this, that, the third. Look, I don't give a damn where you at. Is my wig in town or not? Because like I said, I dropped the wig off on March 9th. Now, it do not take a whole month to cut a frontal off and sew a new one on. So she's telling me, oh, you can come at this time, you can come at that time. Nah, I'm on the way. I'm already putting my clothes on. So how about I pull up, y'all, and her girlfriend's car is outside, and I'm confused because she definitely just said that she was on vacation, so just make it make sense. So I pull up behind the car, hop out, and I walk straight to the door, you know, knock on the door, whatever the case. I turned around and asked the person that I was with, I'm like, is there somebody in that car or am I tripping? I start walking back to the car, and next thing you know, the passenger door is opening. Oh, so you're home now. You're home as fuck. What happened to being on vacation? By this time, I'm like, fuck the wig. Why are you lying? Like, come on. So by this time, forget the being professional, forget the being nice, forget the being humble. I went the fuck off. Why the fuck would you ever play with me like that? Now, I was supposed to be recording, but because I didn't intend on being played like a dummy, I completely forgot to record until after. I'm gonna post the video after this part, but y'all, I was so baffled. And she's like, I'm about to go on vacation. I wasn't lying. I wasn't this. I'm like, get my hair, and that's that. So now her people done came outside. They like, you know, you need to calm down. You need to leave. I say, no, I'm not fucking calming down because your peoples is a fucking thief and a fucking liar. Ain't no calming down. I've been calm for 3 months, damn near. So yeah, now she's like, I have your wig. I'm going to cash app you. I'm like, cash app me? I thought the wig was gonna be ready next week. Now you're gonna cash app me? Y'all, I was so baffled, flabbergasted. So now her mom's is outside telling me that she's gonna call the police on me. I'm like, you call the motherfucking police because she's the one stealing. You gonna call the police on me for coming to get my stuff? Y'all, let me know if y'all want a part 4 because I just don't get it. Call the police on me because you was stealing.
Storytime PT.
You didn't lie?
4.
I was never lying to you. Anything not
So on a... Oh, you can. That's fine.
I'm about to cash up to your bread. You can go ahead and
That's fine. That's fine. The fuck out of here. Nobody gives a fuck about no fucking police. Fuck out of here. Nobody's talking to your fucking mother. Nobody is talking to your mother. Take all the disrespect is with you. No one asked her to come outside. No one would have had to come here if you wasn't lying and stealing. Simple. Fuck out of here. Not I was mad, y'all. Not nobody asked her to come outside. Okay, but like I said, this is part 4 to the story time. It's not really much left to it. That's the video that I recorded after she said that she was about to go get my wig and she was about to well, no. She did already go get my wig or whatever, but her people was all going back and forth. She was all going back and forth trying to plead her case, talking about she never lied. How did you never lie when you just said that you were out of town, told me that I couldn't come get the wig until Wednesday, and you was on vacation, but you was sitting in your driveway? I'm so confused on how that wasn't a lie. I'm so confused on how you messaged me on March 23rd and say the wig is going to be ready in a week. It's April 10th or some shit like that, and the wig isn't ready, and that wasn't a lie. Like, lie detector test determines that was a lie. So yeah, she gave me my wig with the holes still all through my lace, and she ended up cash apping me $150 to compensate for the lace. But I really cannot believe it. I really cannot believe that it even had to go there, because I really didn't want to take it there. Me and the girl been doing business for a minute. Like, it wasn't ever supposed to be all of that. But at the end of the day, there's only so much professionalism that there can be had. Wait, what? There's only so much professionalism to have. I don't know. I think that sounds better. But I just know I don't do my clients like that. And I didn't deserve that. So at the end of the day, I had to make it be known that I did not deserve that. Like, we had to handle that. I do not put that into the universe. So we not about to put that energy into my life, because I don't deserve that, okay? But yeah, I still have the money sitting in my cash app. So if anybody do hair in Charlotte and want to replace my frontal and recustomize my wig, let me know, because yeah. And also, if you want to see the pictures from my photo shoot that I needed the wig so urgently for, let me know, because me and my photographer ate girl, whoa.
So is screwing over somebody's business a reason to kill them? I think we all know how insane the Joe versus Carol case was. When it came out, it was huge, and it released a whole subculture of things that we did not even know about. And just how competitive and strange the exotic animal industry in America is like. It was really popular whenever I was younger for people to hire Joe for their birthday parties. Like, I kind of knew Joe as the person that did my friend's birthday parties and was like the magic man. But Peacock is now releasing a show called Joe versus Carol, so I figured we would actually talk more about the case. So Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage was born March 5th of 1963. He was born in Kansas and then later moved to Texas for high school. And I've really wondered what happened in his early life for him to become the man he is today, now in his 50s. The best way I think that I can describe Joe's personality is he's almost like a vlogger, a YouTube vlogger before that was even a thing. So he was born in Kansas and then moved to Texas to complete high school. And right after graduation, he served as the chief of police in Eastvale. And he ended up leaving law enforcement after he was in a pretty big accident. While he has made previous claims that going off of a bridge was self-inflicted, it's also been stated that it was during a drug investigation, so I don't know. But either way, he was left in a coma for 9 days and had several broken bones. But because of how severe the injuries were, he just was not the same after this. He moved to West Palm Beach and opened up a pet store. And a friend of his who owned a drive-through safari ended up bringing baby lions to him. And seeing his friend work with these animals was kind of his inspiration. So he moved to Arlington and opened up another pet shop with his brother, who also shared his love of exotic animals. But he ended up becoming a target for Arlington officials. He would fly an American flag with rainbow stripes above his building because he was openly gay. And horribly, he was subject to a lot of discrimination during this time. And in 1997, his brother Gerald Wayne passed away in an auto accident. And this absolutely destroyed Joe. So he ended up selling his pet shop and then acquiring 16 acres of land in Oklahoma with his parents. And he opened up the Gerald Wayne Exotic Memorial Park dedicated to his brother. But this is just where the story begins. Okay guys, so things are about to get a little crazy. So in the 2000s, Joe ended up acquiring his first 2 tigers, which have been abandoned. And he stated that the first animal rescue in his career was actually an alligator with an eye infection. And a weird fun fact during this is he actually called up Steve Irwin during this time to help get the proper antibiotic for his alligator. And it seemed like at the very beginning of his career, his goal was to be kind of like Steve Irwin. He really wanted to be able to educate people on exotic animals. Well, one day in Texas, law enforcement found a group of neglected emus. So Joe ended up volunteering to take these emus back to his animal park. But he ended up having a hard time capturing and controlling these birds, so he wound up just killing them. He was obviously accused of animal cruelty by the police, but since they were considered livestock, that can be legally humanely killed in Texas. So Joe was not indicted. Well, Joe became obsessed with breeding tigers. Tiger cubs ended up being the most profitable because you could essentially get people to pay a lot of money to come hold a tiger, interact with a tiger. He was also breeding animals like ligers as well. But it is like $10,000 per tiger each year to feed them. And all these cubs grow up to be adults, so what are you going to do losing all that money? Well, Joe claims that he could do it for $3,000 a year. And what he meant by this was he was feeding all of his big cats expired meat from Walmart. He also ate too. The whole thing was kind of gross. In 2006, they got cited multiple times by the USDA. He was falsifying wildlife records and was also killing animals, which is in violation of the Endangered Species Act. Also during this time, this man is documenting absolutely everything. While Joe's building up popularity and money, he's taking these cubs on tour. He also gets a singing career somewhere in this, which, by the way, is not him singing. He conned artists saying that he was making music for his reality show and they would be singing in it. And later on, he just made his own music videos to it. So all of this madness got the attention of Miss Carol Baskin. And man, is this when things get real messy. Okay, so let's get into Joe and Carol's feud. So whenever she heard all of this going on, she was like, absolutely not. She has a big cat sanctuary, and she's this wildlife advocate even though she prior owned a zoo like Joe's. So even though she used to do stuff like this, she was like, this is unethical, stop. And she already had like a pretty big online community. So she was trying to send her fan base, I don't really know what they're called, basically over to shut Joe down. So the audience plus her team at Big Cat Rescue would essentially email bomb any place Joe was hired at. They would cancel his shows, and this really affected his revenue. He set up his YouTube channel to basically talk bad about her, and she would kind of do the same thing online. And because she had done something similar to him, he essentially saw her as a hypocrite. But Joe took it too far on many occasions. One time videoing and uploading a video of him killing her in blow-up doll form. And he ended up actually going over via helicopter to survey her sanctuary. Apparently she had around 200 tigers, but for some reason all they could find were 12. So he posed the question, where are the other tigers at if she doesn't believe in cages? He also ended up obtaining her diary, which was stolen off of her computer by a former employee. Carol's husband, Don Lewis, ended up disappearing in 1997. He was legally declared dead in 2002, and Joe started to perpetuate that she may have killed her husband and fed him to the tigers. And there's just a lot of conspiracy surrounding his death. That's a whole separate case. And he was offering $10,000 for information to lead to Carol's arrest. And he went ahead and rebranded his travel show and named it after her sanctuary and gave it a Florida number, so a bunch of people were thinking that she was taking her tigers on traveling shows. So she sued him for trademark infringement and ended up getting $1 million. Well, not really. Joe filed for bankruptcy and she was unable to collect most of it. Then Joe turns around and runs for president in 2016. His little campaign video ended up going viral on YouTube. And when he failed, he ended up running for governor in 2018. Allegedly, his bankruptcy was kind of the motive behind this, so that he could build back up his money and turn people against Carol. And since this doesn't work, this is when he decides that he is going to hire someone to kill her.
So the most terrifying thing about the Sally house is that nobody really knows if it's being haunted by a ghost or a demon. The Sally house, located in Atchison, Kansas, has a lengthy history of just terrifying owners, and has also been the source of 2 separate BuzzFeed Unsolves. And I really think that we should all go there ourselves. But first, let's get into the backstory. The Sally house was built between 1867 and 1871. It was built for Michael C. Finney and his family. This included his wife, Kate, and his 3 kids, James, Agnes, and Charles. And altogether, they lived in the basement while this was being built. But in the year 1872, Michael ended up passing away in the home. And years later, in 1906, his daughter Agnes moved back into the home. She got married to an engineer named William True, and in 1913, he also passed away in the home. Agnes passed away next in 1939. After this, several families moved in and out of the residence, and there wasn't a whole lot of incidents. But this all changed on December 31st of 1992 when the Pickmans moved in. Tony and Deborah Pickman, who were a newlywed couple and expecting their first child, had no idea what was. So when Tony and Deborah Pickman were moving into the new house, their dog, who was normally very calm, would start to freak out a lot. And to give a little bit of timeline, about January through June of 1993, they would experience things such as lights flickering, cold spots around the home, landline calls dropped, pretty typical haunting stuff. But this honestly seems just common for a home built in the 1800s. Tony had even joked about there being a ghost. Well, in June of 1993, their baby arrived. And this is when things went from a little spooky to terrifying. Electronic toys would turn on and off, the wind-up mobile above his crib would just randomly go off, and he would wake up almost every hour of the night. Deborah describing it as if someone was wanting to play with him. A neighbor actually ended up coming to them and asking them why they left their nursery light on throughout the night, when in reality their son had just been sleeping in their bedroom, so they weren't even in there turning on the light. Deborah's sister ended up coming into town to help with the baby, and she asked why all the baby's toys were on the floor arranged in a circle with backs facing each. Am I the a-hole for insisting to invite someone to the wedding when my fiance is against it? I'm 26 male, and my fiance who I'm getting married to is also 26 female. I started dating my fiance 4 years ago, and we got engaged last year. Before I met my fiance, I was friends with this one girl since we were 16 years old. We weren't that close, but we were good friends. I went no contact with that girl after she had cursed out my fiance multiple times, and when she was acting jealous over the fact that I had a relationship, and also going on dates with my partner. She was getting really exhausting, and I felt suffocated by her. So I cut her off, but this was almost 3 years ago. Now, this girl started dating my cousin 3 months ago. My cousin will be invited to the wedding, and although I'm not thrilled about it, that girl will be his +1. My fiance is totally against it because that girl treated her horribly. And she doesn't want her at her wedding because she believes that kind of person will make the wedding about herself. She's not totally wrong. The girl is extremely weird and capable of pulling a stunt to get all eyes on her, whether it's negative or positive attention. I get why my fiance is worried, but I don't want to tell my cousin not to bring his +1, who's also his girlfriend. So am I in the wrong here?
Storytime about the time I pulled a deaf woman over for speeding and asked to see her vagina. This happened a few years ago when I was a young police officer in the college town in the South. To set this up, our department had been teaching us American Sign Language to help officers serve the public. I was all about learning sign language and picked some up pretty quickly, or so I thought. Well, one night in the summer, I'm on traffic enforcement looking for drunk drivers, and about 1 in the morning, I stop a car for speeding. As I approached the car, a young and very pretty co-ed was driving. I start talking to her, but she indicates that she's deaf. Now, I still had an ASL for police officers class from a week ago fresh in my mind, and I think to myself, great, I get to use a new talent in the field. I indicate that I can sign and she smiles. So far, so good. Now I need to add that I was nervous since this was the first time I had used this on the street and she was very pretty. I then signed that I needed to see her driver's license. A look of terror crossed her face and my cop radar went off. I was thinking, what have I stumbled upon? I had dealt with people who didn't have a license, were dangerous, were drunk, or had warrants. I again signed that I'm a police officer